Hey guys, welcome to Hughes History, where we get all dizzy for the learning. In today's lecture, we're going to take a look at the Kansas-Nebraska Act. I'm so excited for all of us, but especially if you're in school and you're studying, we're just going to take a few minutes, guys, and cover it. It's major legislation that's going to help you bang pass your exam. All right, so here we go. Come with me to the House of Learning. All right, so there's a couple of things that I think are really important to understand. First, we're dealing with the issue of sectionalism. 1854, guys, is only a decade off, less than a decade off, 5-6 years off from the Civil War breaking out. So I think it's really important that we first kind of recognize that we're looking through the lens of the Civil War. So a couple names. The first name you're going to need, bang bang, Stephen Douglas. Stephen Douglas just beat Abraham Lincoln and is now the senator from Illinois. Lincoln-Douglas debates are very famous, and you'll find out in a moment that really they're all revolving around this issue. So Stephen Douglas's big issue is that he really doesn't want the nation to have a civil war, so he's trying to find a way to kind of not take a side and really kind of broker some kind of way of just not really dealing with slavery. The issue is going to kind of come onto the front burner of America in 1854 because there's two new states that are coming into the Union, Kansas-Nebraska.
I think it's called the Kansas-Nebraska Act.
And for years, the country was living under the umbrella of the Missouri Compromise. And the Missouri Compromise had created this kind of invisible line across the United States, which was supposed to decide once and for all kind of the issues of slavery. If you're up above the line, you were free. If you're down below the line, you're a slave state. Problem solved. But of course, in 1850, we have this Compromise of 1850 with California coming in, and the Missouri Compromise really starts to fall apart. And in 1854, it's going to further fall apart when it's decided through this bill written by Stephen Douglas that we're now going to use, are you ready for the vocabulary? I'm so excited. Popular sovereignty to solve the problem of slavery. And this was really, at the end of the day, what the issue in the Lincoln-Douglas debates was. Lincoln is a member of really kind of a third-party group called the Free Soil Party, and he sees the West as free land. Lincoln's not going to go down south and like free slaves, but he definitely sees these new states coming in as free states. And especially after the Missouri Compromise, Kansas and Nebraska Act, the territories, didn't have slavery. So it was always thought they would never have slavery. And now, for the first time, we see slavery expanding into free territories. And I think that's the fear, that's the big deal, that's what's ripping the country apart. So it seems like a democratic solution, popular sovereignty, which just means voting. We're going to let the settlers decide for themselves. That way, Stephen Douglas doesn't take an issue. He can just say, let democracy fix the problem. But here's the problem, because it's a miserable failure. I think that's the first thing you really want to kind of get as a conclusion. Hashtag fail. Because what happens is rather than having some kind of democratic process play out where they vote and all in favor of slavery, raise your hand, it ends up as bloody Kansas. That's the vocab word I would encourage you to wrap your head around right now. Because basically, when they ring that dinner bell that the vote's going to happen, that dinner bell is heard by every radical, slave-owning, want slavery to expand. Sorry for the southern accent, no offense. And you're going to get the radical abolitionists. You're going to get the people from North, and here's another bang-bang name, John Brown. John Brown, the radical abolitionist, he's going to make his way to Kansas, not to talk about slavery, but to really kind of radically push for abolitionism and certainly to stop any kind of slavery from spreading into Kansas. And that actually spills off into him eventually getting out to Harper's Ferry and trying to overthrow the United States government. So the Kansas-Nebraska Act and its popular sovereignty as a method to try to kind of save off the Civil War is not going to work. It's going to fail. So at the end of the day, the vote really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is this is kind of an episode in American history which is going to radicalize a lot of people and which is really going to push the nation closer to civil war rather than farther away. So nice try, Stephen Douglas. You try again later. But also, it's now really going to formulate the Republican Party. Rather than being free soilers, Lincoln and his band of brothers are going to wrap their banner around the Republican Party, this new political party that's focused on economic expansionism and certainly stopping the spreading of slavery but eventually abolishing slavery. So giddy up for the learning right there. So now you got it, guys, the Kansas-Nebraska Act. All right, guys, see you next time that you press my buttons. Go ahead, I dare you, press my buttons. And remember, wherever you go, where attention goes, energy flows. I tricked you, I came back because I forgot something. I forgot to give the loudest shout out ever to the folks at Arthur E. Wright Middle School. That's out in Cali, baby. And led by their passionate teacher, Miss Darcy Miller. I know that you're doing good by your kids. Kaylee actually gave me an email and talked about how you follow in the Hughes history. And I just wanted to show my gratitude by giving you guys hashtag shout out. There you go, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks again.